we got a guest for you guys that you are all familiar with, and I think most of you love. Aida Rodriguez joins us. Aida is the host of Truth Serum. She's on Young Turks all the time, as you all know. But she's got 2 different shows coming up on HBO Max, a scripted show and a special. We'll get into that in a little bit. That's exciting news. But she's also hosting the Imagen Awards, which we're carrying exclusively on September 24th. It's the 35th annual edition of that. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern, so don't miss it. Wherever Young Turks is broadcast on all of the platforms, Pluto, Roku, YouTube TV, etc. We're on the Imagen Awards will be on us. And so Aida, for folks who are unfamiliar, can you tell us why this award ceremony is particularly needed at this time?
Well, I mean, Imagen is a program that honors and acknowledges the people that are in front of the camera and behind the scenes who are Latinx, and they actually showcase some of the talent that you probably will never hear of in mainstream award shows. But I think that in this moment is very important, especially because we have this election coming up. I think it's very important for us to honor intersectionality and to have these conversations. TYT has been a partner, and for my mission and the things that I've been doing. And Imagen needs, these 2 groups and sections of people need to intersect, because we need to defeat what's holding us all down and back right now. And I think that it doesn't matter if it's entertainment, medicine, science. We all need to band together to get rid of and try to overturn this horrific, not just administration, but this toxic capitalism that's just affecting our community so bad. And Latin people, Latinx people are a very big consumer market, and we show up for everybody. We support brands, we put our dollars into companies, and right now, in Hollywood nor anything else is reflecting how much value we bring to the United States.
Yeah, so I actually want to talk about that politics a little bit here in this context. So I've been talking about my uncle who's going to vote for Trump. It's driving me crazy, even though he's a Muslim immigrant. So I can see the polling on Latinx voters, and Biden's still getting at least 2/3, but that leaves a big chunk that are actually going to vote for Trump. What's your personal experience in the Latinx community? Do you still see some folks hanging on to Trump? And if so, why on God's earth? I don't know if you bother talking to them or not, but.
Well, one thing that the right has done very effectively is weaponize the talking points surrounding communism and socialism, even though their guy is actually employing a lot of, he's employing a lot of things that are very familiar to people that come from communist countries. And when you see locks on mailboxes, and you see, law enforcement that is not, that you can't identify, that is scooping people up off the street, which is very familiar and reminiscent of those like my dad who comes from Cuba. But you hear, people don't have the time to read. They don't have the time to really learn. So they get their information from social media and from a lot from cable, news. And so within our community, a lot of people who come from Venezuela and Cuba and adjacent to those countries that are very afraid of communism are being, driven emotionally by these talking points because of the things that Bernie and AOC and the squad that are fighting for, which is really pretty much equality and justice for all people in this country, where such a lack of balance in our economy, where so many people are suffering in this particular moment. And so you hear Latin people, Latinx people who want to identify with the Republican Party because they come from these countries and they think that that's upwardly mobile, and they really want to assimilate into a white culture because they're tired of hurting and they don't want to be ostracized and they don't want to be in pain, but they don't realize that they're biting their noses to spite their faces, because the people who hate marginalized people hate them all. And so white supremacy doesn't care if you're Muslim or you're Latin or you're transgender, they hate us all. And so, I think that a lot of people are getting bad messaging in terms of what they should be looking for in terms of who they should be voting for.
Right. And it's such a sad phenomenon, but pitting minorities against one another, pitting poor people against one another is the oldest trick in the book. And it goes all the way up to the very end of the upper class. Because if you're middle class, they say, oh, watch out for the poor, right? If you're poor, they say, watch out for the homeless. If you're Latinx, they say, watch out for black folks, or the new immigrants, et cetera. There's just no end to it. And you look, I see sometimes Middle Eastern folks falling into this. And so I wonder if you get a sense of that too. Like that if you're not black, you could be white passing, and that gives you a gateway to go, oh, no, I'm not with them, I'm with you guys. Do you see that phenomenon at all?
All the time. And within our community, the problem is that when you talk about black, you are talking about Latin people, because there is intersectionality, and there are black people who are Latinos and that are Latinx. And a lot of the you're not like the rest of them usually is rooted in white supremacy, because you are white passing. And why would you want to identify with those indigenous immigrants or those black, criminals, or all of the talking points? So within our community, we have such a big, there's such a big battle right now, because within people from Cuba who are not immigrants, because they have political asylum, they exercise their privilege against people who are from Central America who have political asylum. And then you have Puerto Ricans who have citizenship who are like, well, I'm a citizen. And at the end of the day, they treat us all bad. So I don't understand why we're all doing this.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then this year the Emmys had no one who was even nominated that's Latinx, right?
Well, they were nominated behind the scenes. There were some Black Latin people who were nominated, and again, Latinx people are very. They tend to have a blind spot when it comes to people who are, of a different that are LGBTQIA+, that can be Black or Indigenous. And sometimes when they were crying and saying we were not included, they were talking about their white selves or their white passing selves. But yes, there's a big problem. There's a big lack of diversity. And the problem is not in front of the camera. Yes, of course, our issue is that we don't have power. And while we focus on why we're not on camera, we need to be focusing on why we're not in the executive rooms, in the writers' rooms, why we don't have the showrunners. There's a big gap. There's a hole in Hollywood where you don't see Latinx people in those positions of power. And that's how you actually get the writers' rooms and the representation on camera. But we're so focused sometimes on what's in front of us that we don't realize that there's this big old structure behind us, and that's what we need to dismantle.
All right, awesome. So you got 2 HBO Max shows coming up. I don't know how much of it you can share, but how'd you want? I've been talking to you about different shows that you could do that are amazing, but HBO is an awesome place to land. So I'll ask it in this funny way: how did you get those shows?
So it's funny, one of them is in development, so that's not for sure if it's a go. I'm developing with HBO Max. They've been great partners. I'll tell you, probably one of the best experiences that I've had in this business has been with HBO Max. My comedy special, after they saw the Netflix special, they really wanted to create a home for me there. And the TV show is something that I sold to them right after I taped that Netflix special. And then they made a way for me to come there and do my comedy special. So, there are a lot of women at HBO Max, and they're smart, and they're making, and not just because they want to be in partnership with me, but they're just making good decisions. They have a team of 4 women who are over there that really are focusing on inclusion and diversity. And they saw my comedy, they got it, and now they want to do more with me.
Okay, I love it. I can't wait for the show. And I know from personal experience, if someone wants to work with you, they're brilliant.
Oh, thanks. I'm drinking coffee, too strong.
Oh, look at that. Okay. I got mine right here too. Okay. Anyways, all right, everybody, Imagen Awards, it's September 24th. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern. Aida's hosting. Young Turks is distributing it. It's the 35th annual awards. So make sure that you see folks in projects that are amazing that you might not have otherwise known about if you weren't watching this, and see some of the amazing accomplishments for Latinx community in the entertainment industry. So Aida, thank you for joining us, appreciate it.
I'm happy we're gonna do it with you.
Absolutely, and then by the way, everybody also check out Truth Serum.
Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.